It's the Breakfast Club, and I'm here with Mayoral candidate and our Brooklyn Borough President, Eric Adams. How are you feeling, Eric? It's a tough time right now.
No, it's all good. When you live the life that I live, there's no such thing as tough times.
Well, I want to get right into it because we do have elections coming up on the 22nd. If you didn't get your early voting in, you got to make sure you go out and vote on the 22nd, and it's ranked choice voting. Why is that a positive thing?
Because it allows people to rank their candidates based on their preference, and it also stops a runoff, and it really just engages as many voters as possible. And so I say to everyone, please rank me number one. And if you have another favorite, which I hope you don't, please rank me number two.
Do you have a number two pick?
I'm still looking at some of the candidates. Many of the candidates. I agree with some of the things, but before election day, I'm going to roll out who my number two pick is.
Okay, that'll be interesting to hear. Now, you've been under attack, and you can always tell when somebody's a front runner, right, in a race because of the attacks that are coming at you. So, I want to address some of those things so we can hear it straight from your mouth because even I get confused when I
Mhm.
read some of those things. And I know you personally, so I just want to hear what you have to say about it because I know some people are trying to still make their decisions. And so, we want to know from you stop and frisk. I've heard
Yes.
people say that Eric Adams is pushing stop and frisk. So, what is your response to that?
Not at all. And remember, I was the leading voice on stopping the end of stop and frisk. And many people who don't have a record at all, they are attempting to use it as this is the silly season, so they want to push that. We will never go back to the use and abuse of stop, question, and frisk. As a young man, I fought against when uh, Clifford Glover was shot. I was there when Randolph Evans was shot. I was there when Eleanor Bumpurs was shot. This is my life work, and we're not going backwards. And, sister, my son, on his first time going on a date unchaperoned, a police officer stopped and frisked him. And his young girlfriend came out of the store and watched him crying. They both started crying, and it traumatized him. And so that's why I testified in federal court. The federal judge ruled against the police department, and she mentioned my testimony as the reason for ruling against the police department and my bill in Albany. There was a database where they kept all the innocent names of the people they stopped. I outlawed that database based on my bill and got rid of that database. We're not going back there. This is just a silly season. People who don't have a record, they were not there. They're now trying to use this to state Eric is going to return to stop and frisk. It is not going to happen. We're not going to have that in our city.
So what is it that you want to do? Because this came from somewhere, right? So I read somewhere you were saying plain clothes cops. Where did that even come from that people can say that?
Yes, what's happening now, many of the bad guys that are carrying guns, when you look at some of the conversations that's coming off of Rikers, some of the gangs, they're saying, listen, no longer have to worry about the plainclothes unit because now it's just the blue and white cars are out there. So you can now carry your guns with a level of comfort. So what I am saying, we're going to have a different breed of officers assigned to plainclothes assignment that's going to focus on just the known shooters in the city. A lot of people don't know. We know who the shooters are in this city, and we're going to zero in on them. We're going to have officers that are going to wear their body cameras because many officers were turning off their cameras when they were making gun arrests. We're going to make sure that everything is recorded, and it's going to be a seasoned officers, not the cowboy officers that you saw in the past. A very diverse group, many black and brown officers that understand their community, and we're going to zero in on this gang violence. Listen, let's be clear. I was with Justin's mom, the 10-year-old who was shot in Rockaway, and it destroyed me to watch her lose her baby days from his birthday. 8-year-old shot in St. Albans, shootouts all over our city. 95% of the shooters are black and brown. 95% of the victims are black and brown. We need to get these guns off our street. And I'm going to do it in a way that we're not going to be heavy handed, but we're going to do it where we can protect everyday New Yorkers because these shooters are in our communities. And you can't tell me if we were having shooters like this in other communities, there wouldn't be a different response. I know about police abuse, sister. You know, I was arrested and beat by police officers. And so I would never allow heavy-handed policing in this city. And you could be clear on that.
What about accountability for cops who are doing the wrong thing, right? I saw you speak on that as well. Can you expand on what you think should happen for cops that are abusing their power?
Listen, they're out of here, and they're out of here not 4 years like Pantaleo. Mayoral took 4 years to get rid of Pantaleo. They're out of here within 60 to 90 days. We're going to have a departmental trial. So if you have an incident like we saw during the Black Lives Matter protest, when an officer pulled down the mask of a young man and maced him in his face, that officer is gone. He's fired. I'm going to suspend him for 30 days. He will have a trial, but he will be out of our police department. We allow the abusive officers to stay in a department too long, 1, 2, 3 years, not under Eric Adams. We're going to turn around and send the right message. You do something abusive, you will be out of that department between 60 and 90 days, an immediate departmental trial, and we're going to clean up and get rid of those officers that should not be in the uniform. But we're also going to change the ecosystem of public safety. Public safety is not just police. It's the crisis management team like Man Up and AT Mitchell and SOS. It's about giving them the right funding. So when they are on the streets telling young people to get out of violence or crime, they're going to hand them job applications, educational opportunities. They're going to be in the streets to really change how we look at public safety. Public safety is not just police. Public safety is a combination of youth organizations, youth groups, some of the stuff that you're doing around healthy nutrition and food. That is what public safety is about.
Now, you talked about education just now. This was another thing that was that I saw in the media as a headline. So I want you to expand on it. Maya Wiley was saying that you felt that it was appropriate to have 400 students learning virtually. So what do you respond to that? What was the real conversation for you, or was that it?
You know what, this, like I said, this is silly season. You know, people are just really trying to get, when you don't have a record, you want to abuse someone else's record. Here's what I'm saying. We will never remove teachers from classroom at all. You know, I have a learning disability, so I understand the importance of having that hands-on teacher in the classroom. But why aren't we using technology? Jeff Bezos is about to go to space. How about doing a seminar or webinar where our young people can speak directly to Jeff Bezos while he's in space, right from Brownsville, right from South Jamaica, right from the South Bronx? How come we can't have you come in and talk about the industry of being on radio? What does it mean? And have these webinars and seminars. This is what affluent communities are doing. Why can't we have rocket designers? Why can't we have people who are in charge of major corporation and industries? Our children are lacking exposure. And if you allow them to see the opportunities via technology, they are starting to see what the possibilities are. So our children may not be able to go to China, but they can do a webinar, 100 students doing a webinar, sitting down talking to some of the great mathematicians, some of the great scholars in China, so they can start seeing the globe. If you go to Tilden houses, then go home and school, and that's all you see, that's all you're going to believe is out there. So I say let's use technology, and you can do it by having some of the best and smartest people globally that our children could be exposed to. We're not replacing classrooms. We're not taking teachers out of classroom. We're going to expand and show our children the possibility. It's no longer the sky is the limit. The whole
Right.
galaxy is the limit right now.
Now, Eric, are you leaving your home in New Jersey right now? Also, importantly, we need to know about that. So I see that that has been an issue, and you said that feels like a racist thing that's happening to you, where people are claiming that you don't really live in Brooklyn. You know, I live in Bed-Stuy, so I see you all the time. But I want to know what's really going on with where you live.
Bed-Stuy, and I love being in Bed-Stuy. Again, it's silly. And, listen, I'm a private person when it comes down to my family life. As I stated, when someone shot at my car, my son was only weeks old. And I made the decision back then that, listen, my life is going to take my son's dad away from him, and I really uh, just sort of protected him. And that was a very impactful moment for me. And, believe it or not, a lot of my close friends never even knew I had a son until he became of age, because I did not want him to be hurt due to the life I was living of fighting police abuse in the city. And so my neighbors know me. I live in Best Eye. I love living in Best Eye. This is all part of, we never thought Eric was going to be able to put together an amazing campaign, an amazing coalition. So now we have to reach and find things to attack him on. I open my home to let people see where I live, because if I didn't, that would have been the talking point throughout this entire campaign, and it would have sidetracked this campaign. So I took a very bold step to say, listen, you want my easy pass? Here are my easy pass. But at the same time, let's be clear. Don't tell me I can't own two homes.
Right.
When Andrew Yang lives in New Paltz, I was in Bed-Stuy, I was in Queens, I was in the Bronx during COVID-19. People knew where I was. I was on the ground, and folks saw me on the ground. We did not see them on the ground. I'm proud that I was able to amass enough so that I could own two homes like others have owned outside our community. And I encourage Black and brown people, don't apologize for your hard work to get to the successful level that you want. And I'm going to make sure more people of color reach middle class living in this city and in this country, because we're going to get it right here. It's going to cascade around the country.
I wanted to ask you, having been on the police force for as long as you were, did you think that cops need to have some type of therapy? Like, what did you go through mentally? Because that, like you said, that is not an easy job. And I'm sure you saw a lot of things happening, and you were fighting against the system as well. So what did you do to make sure that your mental was strong?
So that's a powerful question. Listen, I was broken. I was broken in so many places by the time I retired. And I talk about in the video One Shot, the number of people I have known in the department who committed suicide, people who are going through depression, alcoholism, divorce. Because remember, not a normal career in policing, you are seeing people at their worst. A normal career, you're seeing pedophilia, you're seeing rapes, you're seeing robberies, you're seeing homicides. So a normal career, by the time you're in, you're shattered. But add that to the fact that I was fighting against racism for 22 years. I was a rookie when Eleanor Bumpus was shot. I used to leave the academy in my police academy uniform and go up to the Bronx and protest on behalf of the community when Eleanor Bumpus was shot with Officer Sullivan. And so with all of that constant pressure, I used to have to eat a pint of ice cream every night to coat my stomach because of the stress. And it wasn't until I got out of policing that I identified, listen, Eric, you're going through PTSD. You need to now do some self-healing. And it took a while that I got into meditation, I got into yoga, I got into breathing exercises, and finally turned around of the inner crises that I was experiencing. Because people don't know, if you're thinking about trauma, your body doesn't know the difference between thinking about it and going through it. And it has an erosive impact on your cells and on your health. And so, your question is a powerful one, because I was shattered. I was broken. I was not who I should have been when I left policing. But thank God I was able to identify that, listen, Eric, you're not right. Something is wrong. And I was able to find and get the mental support and the self-healing that I need. And that's what I encourage people of color to do. We normally ignore, we look at our physical appearance and consider that to be healthy. But trust me, you can't be a person of color in America and not experience internal trauma. And we need to start identifying that.
You think that's something that should be in the police department, where they actually have to undergo some type of psychiatric evaluations and some help? Just because, like you said, I'm sure most police officers have trauma.
Yes, so true, sister. And every year, police officers go for what's called in-service training, where they have to go back and retrain. They need to build into in-service training a psychological profile, identify the mental capacity of that officer, what assignment they're in. Because think about it. Let's say you're an assignment of the gun unit. All day, every day, you are chasing people with guns. You're in shootouts. You are going after a gun situation. Your mind, after a while, you are in a state of always in high alert. You're in revved up. Remember that flight and fright mode. The body's not built to be in flight and fright all the time. And when you stay in that mode, you are destroying your body in the process. And so, yes, every year there should be an annual evaluation. Are you still suitable to do the assignment you're doing? And are you still suitable to be a police officer in the first place on the front line all the time?
All right. The last thing I want to talk about is housing, affordable housing. This moratorium, and people are going to get evicted. A lot of people are saying they can't pay their rent, they can't pay their mortgage. As you know, New York is one of the most expensive places that you could live in New York, in the United States. So, what can we do about affordable housing in New York to make it so that people that have lived here for so long aren't getting pushed out, and that people that want to move to New York can afford to live comfortably, and so that people aren't getting evicted after this pandemic?
So true. There's a couple of things we need to do, and we need to divide up the housing stock from the large property owners to the small property owners. Those small property owners, if we give rent relief to tenants, we need to also give rent relief through mortgage relief, utilities, and others to those small property owners, 1 to 4 family owners. Because, Miss Jones, if you telling her tenants don't pay the rent, Miss Jones can't pay her mortgage. And if she can't pay her mortgage, she lose her building. We can see the greatest loss of wealth of Black and brown people in the history of this country. So the Senate, the state, and federal government need to make sure we compensate those small property owners. We should have a moratorium on rent so that we can bring in the dollars to help those folks in those large properties where people have thousands of units of housing. That's where the real support of helping the tenants must go, so we can help tenants on all end, but let's not ignore those small property owners. Then we need to do a better job with our stock of affordable housing. We don't even have our hands wrapped around it. We don't know how many units are available. We don't know where people are in line to get these units. We don't even know how many NYCHA units are available and what track do we have to get those units occupied and repaired. I'm going to build out a real-time system where we will analyze every unit we have. Is it open? What do we need to get people inside those units and match them to those units? And then we have to protect our existing stock. Right now, we're hemorrhaging affordable units every year. I am going to make sure that we have this red, yellow, green system. Green being that affordable unit is protected, they're not in court, no problem. Yellow is there's a threat to them, and we need to give the resources to hold on to that affordable unit. And red is they are in landlord tenant court. So we need to put the legal services there to get them back into a stable status. Many people don't know, if we lose those affordable units, they all of a sudden off the market. We'll never get them back. I'm going to protect the affordable units. Then I'm going to build out new units, particular single housing for single adults. And I'm going to make sure that we have a real affordability for low income and middle income. Our middle income New Yorkers are hurting, and no one
Yes.
seems to acknowledge that, but I know that.
All right. Well, Tuesday, right? Is Tuesday the 22nd, the big
Yes,
day?
yes, it
All
is.
right. Tuesday is the big day that you have to go out and vote. I know when you first got into this, because you have been saying you were going to run for mayor before a lot of people said they were going to. I know you could not have possibly anticipated this type of race, right? When you first knew you were going to run.
Yes, yes. Tuesday the 22nd, we knew that you're running for the second most important job in America. We knew that it's going to be a real bare knuckle fight. I already put the Vaseline on my face. I kicked off my shoes. I'm ready to do that old school battle. And we're excited. The energy is high. We're getting a lot of love out there. It showed all over. Every poll shows that I'm very much in this game. We're just telling people to get out and vote. I'm not a new friend. I'm an old friend. I've been doing this for over 35 uninterrupted years. And the reason people can look at my record is because I have a record. All these new people with no record want to all of a sudden define and change my record. I've been fighting on behalf of Black and brown people and low-income New Yorkers my entire life, and I'm going to do it as a mayor. I'm just a blue-collar mayor that's going to do a blue-collar job for a blue-collar city.
And Mayor Eric Adams, what is the first thing that you'll do as mayor?
First thing, we're going to get this violence under control. I'm not going to sit in the room with a mom of a Justin, a 10-year-old boy. That is not going to happen, and we're going to do it with justice. We could have the public safety we need with the justice we deserve. I'm going to turn around this city and the violence, give people the mental health support they need so they won't live on subways and in the street. And we're going to start the foundation of a safe city. The prerequisite to prosperity, sister, is public safety and justice. We're going to bring that back to the city, and then grow our economy and start the process of making sure our agencies are doing their job of providing for everyday New Yorkers.
All right. Well, Eric Adams, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
Again, go out and vote. You know, you've always had my support because I do love the fact that I could see you out in the community. I see all the work that you've been doing. I've been supporting it, and I know your heart is in the right place. So I
Yes.
appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you. We're running around the city, but we're having fun. And thank you, sister. I really appreciate you.
All right. Eric Adams, The Breakfast Club.